Fellow Zimbabweans, fellow Africans, we meet at a very crucial point in the history of Zimbabwe, in circumstances where our country is in a deep political crisis, and where all of us are fighting to win Zimbabwe for change. Let me start by quoting the words of one of the most eminent Africans on the continent, Archbishop Desmond Tutu. He had this to say: if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse, and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. End of quote. Fellow Zimbabweans, I come to you, as I have already indicated, in circumstances of unprecedented national crisis. Things are worsening every day. The situation is deteriorating. The situation is decaying and decomposing. Over the past weeks and days, our country has attracted the attention and critical eye of the world. Zimbabwe is now under an international radar after our country witnessed uncalled for circumstances that meant citizen abuse, citizen harassment, and citizen violations. There is a global condemnation of the arbitrary arrests, detentions, abductions, torture, and victimization of the opposition, our lawyers, medical professionals, teachers, journalists, our bishops, the civil society at large. Zimbabwe has been turned into a banana republic, into a pariah state, an epicenter of the evil, an outpost of state terrorism against innocent, peaceful civilians. I'm, however, particularly encouraged to note that the Zimbabweans have finally realized that the call for a return to legitimacy and democracy in Zimbabwe has never been a partisan political pursuit of power or personal ambition by the alternative in our country, but it is about freedom of our country and the better livelihoods for all Zimbabweans, ending corruption and returning to full constitutionalism and full democracy with the rule of law. It has become so apparent that if we are all going to wait for others to do it, it will never get done. It will never be done. It is about us, for us, with us, none but ourselves. I acknowledge the goodwill and solidarity exhibited by progressive fellow Africans in the region and on the continent, but of course, indeed, globally, by everyone who is concerned, who has shown their support to the people of Zimbabwe. Indeed, Zimbabwean lives matter. Let me take this opportunity to just put in context the July 31st developments and events. It is now clear that having gone through the 31st developments and happenings, we now know that there are a lot of things that have now become so apparent to the people of this world. It has become clear that Zimbabwe is a nation in turmoil. It has become clear that Zimbabwe is a country that is in a crisis. It has become clear that there is something that is wrong and fundamentally wrong in Zimbabwe. It has become clear that we need to speak with one voice because everyone, every sector is under attack in Zimbabwe. It has now become clear that we now have a state that is illegitimate, a rogue state, a fragile state, a disputed and a contested state. It has become so clear that as we go forward, the global community has come to a consensus, not just an international consensus, but an international realization that the nature and character of the crisis in Zimbabwe is a governance one. It is a legitimate crisis, born out of the disputed 2018 general elections, elections that were fundamentally flawed, rigged by the incumbent. And of course, as you know, we contested these elections. We are definitely a country in turmoil. The rulers have turned against the citizens. We have a regime that is chosen to be at war and on a warpath with the citizens and with everyone. The crisis we face is a crisis that is debilitating and escalating almost on a daily basis. It's manifesting itself through symptoms, politically, symptoms, economically, symptoms on the social sphere. We are seeing unprecedented and witnessing unprecedented levels of corruption, and upon it, detentions, malicious arrests, trumped-up charges, assaults, torture, abductions, kidnappings, thuggery, coercive politics, excessive force, use of propaganda, falsehoods, and concocted stories and lies, state terrorism against citizens who are innocent and who are unarmed. Fellow Zimbabweans, we acknowledge your suffering, your losses, and your sacrifices. Many of us have been injured, I am aware, and have been scarred. In the communities, I continue to receive calls, information of how your life is unbearable. In the various communities, the suburbs, in Harare, in Bulawayo, I hear of stories where people are being wantonly beaten up, terrorized, and victimized. Many of us have permanent injuries. Many of us have had to be subjected to inhuman and degrading treatment, even in front of your own family, your own kids and your own children, your own husband or your own wife. Many of us are now jobless, foodless, homeless, hopeless, and even lifeless. Many of us have lost their jobs. Many of us are now out of work and gainful employment. Companies are out of business. Informal traders can't trade. Workers are wallowing in abject poverty. Civil servants, government workers, our teachers, our nurses, our doctors, and all the civil servants in general are suffering without a decent and a living wage. Our war veterans can't enjoy what they fought for and what we all fought for, what we subscribe to: a prosperous, a happy, and a successful free Zimbabwe. Lives have been destroyed, hearts broken, dreams shattered, destinies wrecked, and hopes disappointed, opportunities neglected, advantages missed. As I have said, businesses continue to be forced to shut down or close, and jobs are being lost. This suffering must end. This persecution must stop. The human rights violations must cease. The harassment and terrorism of the state against citizens must end. Instilling of fear, terror, and violence against citizens on the citizens must immediately end. Hopo Chingono, Jacob Ngaruvume, Las Maengama, and all other political prisoners must be released immediately. Persecution, haunting of our members of the MDC Alliance must be stopped and must end. Lawfare and abuse of the law to decimate and deconstruct citizens, civil society, and also the People's Party, the MDC Alliance, is something that must end and end immediately. Citizens are in jeopardy. Citizens are suffering. Citizens need protection. Citizens need stability. They need comfort, opportunity, and prosperity. Zimbabweans have their first citizen, who happens to be the president, who is fighting fellow citizens and not fighting for fellow citizens. This business of branding and labeling, condemning citizens as bad apples or terrorists to be flushed out is unacceptable. It is the leader who sets the tone for amity, peace, and harmony. The frequency of any nation is set at the top by the leader, by the leadership. A leader takes practical steps, ways, means, and measures to hear what the people are saying, to listen to the citizens and hear their plea, so that he is able or she is able to heal, not kill, comfort, not threaten, treat, not injure, to bring together and not tear apart, to forgive and not revenge, to love and not to hate, to encourage and not to victimize. A leader must be able to mobilize tools, plans, and resources to bring hope, joy, happiness, freedom to the doorsteps of all the citizens without any consideration of the shades of political opinion. A leader must protect. A leader cares. A leader comforts. A leader apologizes when they make a mistake and when things are not in order and when citizens are violated. A leader brings the nation and the people together. A leader must not segregate or choose. A leader must not be partisan. A leader must have self-restraint and inner controls, a check and a red light, a stop signal when things are not working. But it is only bad leaders who point fingers, who accuse, who blame. A bad leader blames everyone and everything except themselves. They seek to explain problems instead of solving them. They deny reality. They bury their head in the sand. And in this context, I'm particularly heartened by the fact that we've heard the church speaking out as the conscience of society, as the moral compass of society, as the conscience guardians. They've been able to articulate the voice of reason and the voice of sanity in the sea of madness and the drunken stupor of hate and vindictiveness being churned out by political animals, or animals called the politician. Our national circumstances continue to deteriorate. Today, I want to come to you to speak to you directly as fellow citizens, to tell you that I speak unity and the need for it in a time of national turmoil. I speak of peace in a time of unprecedented violence. I speak of human security in circumstances where there is human insecurity. I speak of justice in the time where we have grave injustice being perpetrated on account of the omissions and commissions of the state. It admits of no debate that 2020 has been and continues to be a very difficult and challenging year, globally and of course in our own context. With the onset of COVID-19, various natural disasters around the globe, but of course ours in Zimbabwe has been a difficult year. As you know, generally life is short, but life in Zimbabwe is made shorter by politics. It is made shorter by bad governance. It is made shorter by omissions and commissions of those who have entrusted with the affairs of men. This latest advent of the West economic crisis, which we have seen for more than a decade, and the human rights abuses, the crisis of governance, has shaken our society to its core. We ourselves find our circumstances very debilitating, and we find ourselves in yet another critical moment in our history as a nation, where we have watched the quality of our life continue to deteriorate day by day. We have watched our economy collapse due to half-baked policies and misbegotten and misconceived policies, rampant corruption and bad governance, bad leadership. It is leadership stupid. High inflation has continued to rock and wreak havoc. Hyperinflation is the word of the day, with our year-on-year inflation in this country hitting over 837.53%. It has increased by over 35% per month. But not only that, when you look at the real terms, it's even way beyond 1,000 mark, possibly competing with Venezuela. This put into doubt the hallucinations that we saw in the 2020 midterm fiscal review statement, where it was said that there's going to be a 300% inflation by December. If we look at the humanitarian situation, over 7.7 million Zimbabweans face starvation. They are food fragile. This is on account of drought. But of course, it is also on account of many made omissions because we did not plan for it. We do not plan for disasters. We do not think beyond our present circumstances. Our public health system has collapsed. We continue to watch our brothers and sisters die unnecessarily because of genuine concerns of our frontline workers who are ignored because they do not have PPEs. The elites continue to ignore them, yet they continue to want to seek healthcare abroad. We have not only seen and watched and waited to see what we have now come to understand to be a common disaster when we lose even babies upon birth. A recent case in point where we lost over 7 babies is quite a tragic development. We have not only waited and watched, we have continued to engage the state in a manner that is peaceful on our part to make sure that democratic values that we ascribe to are respected. However, there seems to be unwillingness and a determination on the part of the system to turn against the values of what we stand for as a people. They have turned against the genuine desires for a dignified livelihood. They have turned against the desires of the people and have created an excuse to unleash violence on our personhood. The citizen raises their voice in peace, and the state turns against the citizen in violence with brutality, force, and repression. All critics, from bishops to book prize winners or nominees, journalists, lawyers, nurses, teachers, have all been turned into some sort of criminals and enemies of the state. And this does not spare civil society activists, opposition politicians, members of parliament, councillors, and all those who are in the various spheres and stations of life in our society. The state has literally declared war on its citizens. And this is so in the context of COVID-19, where there's absolutely no adequate testing. And of course, most people do not know where to get tested. For those who then have to be tested, they have to go to private doctors, and the cost is unbearable. People being asked to pay in excess of $65 just to be tested. This is unacceptable. This is placing life beyond the reach of many, placing health beyond the reach of men. Without health, you have taken away life. And this is a serious issue. We have not seen a concerted effort in having a united approach in leadership to deal with the problems that are affecting us in the context of COVID. The vulnerable groups have not been sustained or cushioned. They have not received support as would have expected. This is all to show that we have a problem. When it comes to corruption, corruption is killing us. There's corruption everywhere. Corruption is rampant. As you know, the fish rots from the head. When you see corruption attacking or affecting the tail of the fish, you must know that it would have started in the head. And this we need to tackle, and tackle in a radical manner with the kind of forcefulness that we have promised in a new Zimbabwe under our leadership. Livelihoods and dignity continue to deteriorate. We continue to have problems. We continue to have challenges. There is no longer goodwill internationally on account of squandered opportunities and missed and neglected advantages. We now see kindergarten blunders and pedestrian mistakes being made by those who are in authority and office. Pressure is mounting. It is coming from unexpected and unsuspected corners. Even those who were initially friends are beginning to see that the deal in Harare is a bad deal, a fake deal, fake change, fluke change, and distorted change. Everyone else can be wrong except the government. It can't be possible that government wins against the whole world. Journalists are wrong, lawyers are wrong, doctors are wrong, nurses are wrong. According to government, teachers are wrong, the opposition is wrong, bishops are wrong, prophets are wrong, the church is wrong, South Africa is wrong, Botswana is wrong, the region is wrong, Malema is wrong, Musimaimani is wrong, Bob Wine is wrong, the AU is wrong, the United Nations even is wrong, Europe is wrong, the United States of America is wrong. Only the government is correct. It can't be so. Not only is the political elite in our country in denial, but it is also incapacitated to deal with the problems. The problems are beyond them. It can't be normal and acceptable when school kids are not able to go to school because of COVID, and we do not have alternative methods of teaching our kids. It can't be normal and acceptable when our lawyers are being stopped from representing clients because the client has made a choice of a lawyer of their choice. It can't be normal and acceptable when citizens are being beaten when they're supposed to be protected by our state institutions. It can't be normal when our people continue to wallow in abject poverty, when the nation has been held hostage for over 40 years now. The best way to solve problems in any situation is to acknowledge those problems. And whichever way one wants to look at the current crisis, it resembles a floundering nationalist movement that has disturbed its own days in leadership and legitimacy and has betrayed the liberation ideals. The ruling elite, the mighty and privileged, have made it clear that all people, all institutions, and all things should bend to their own will and whim, to the detriment of the greater good and the greater majority. We are seeing a usurpation of power, abuse of authority, abuse of the law, an encroachment that we have not understood where the law is now being used. Instead of having rule of law, we now have rule by law. Abuse of state institutions for the benefit of the elite. The behavior of the ruling elite in Zimbabwe reminds us how and why it is always important never to wholly trust human beings or a human being with unchecked power, and to entrust them with the destiny without asking any questions. This is the whole legacy and task we have, to sweep and clean all facets of our society and set the nation on an irreversible path to stardom, liberty, excellence, and accountability. Only when Zimbabwe goes through a leadership renewal will we witness, and shall we witness, a completely new crop of leaders who are accountable, who have respect, honor, love, and who are able to serve honestly with humility to bring positive change to our circumstances and, of course, bring welfare and dignity. In moments of great change, there are those who thrive in sowing the seeds of disunity and discord to derail the people's agenda. But the truth is, we must remember that we are all united more than that which may separate us. None but ourselves can bring the change that we so desire. That is why it is important for us to have our ducks in a row, unite under the values that we share. Our rise to freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, freedom to protest peacefully, and our right to dignity must be respected. We are united by the desire for development, wealth, health, and the pursuit of better livelihoods. Our independence carried the promise of freedom for all, not just a few. It is upon those promises that we must unite as the church, civil society, medical, legal, media, and business professionals. This is our chance to remind those who have forgotten the people that it is in fact us, the people, who appropriate our power to those who govern. It is clear that in the past few weeks, we have seen the state continue to crack down on every critical voice, calling out for the plight of Zimbabweans to be taken seriously. We have seen fellow citizens, the church, political parties, and even those in the civil society face unprecedented persecution, all in a manner of a threat. I can only say, I call upon you not to allow fearmongers, terrorists to stop you from speaking up and demanding accountability. We must remain faithful and loyal to the mandate of peace, but continue to lift our collective voice in saying enough is enough, and Zimbabwean lives matter, and that we can't breathe. The solution is within us and among us. When you see something that isn't right, you have a duty, a moral obligation to do something about it and to take action. Protest is a God-given right. It is an inalienable right, a fundamental entitlement. You must stand up, speak out, and fight for your rights. Your voice matters. Your voice counts. It is your duty. It is a national obligation. It is a generational mandate. We must not allow the threats of those who have chosen to elevate their interests above the national good to force us into silence and to force us into submission. To our brothers and sisters in the region, a burning Zimbabwe is a burning region, and indeed a burning continent. I must say to those in the region and beyond, we thank you for those who have spoken for us and those who have seen it fit to look at the sincerity of the crisis and deal with the problems that are affecting us. We call on you to continue to stand with us as we advocate for the restoration of our dignity under the oppressive hand. We call on you to stand with the citizens of Zimbabwe and hear our collective cry as a people. Diplomacy should never result in turning a blind eye on the genuine plight of the downtrodden. The Zimbabwean situation poses a serious political and security threat to the region if it is unchecked. And this is why it is important to be able to come together and speak together as a region. We must have African solutions to African problems, of course, scaffolded and underwritten by the broader international community. To the people of the beautiful nation of Zimbabwe, my fellow compatriots, I would like to encourage you not to lose sight of the fact that the Zimbabwe we want is not far. I urge you to continue to find a common purpose in speaking out, acting against corruption, injustice, and poverty, acting in a manner that advances a better livelihood and better dignity for all of us. We are a nation of incredible people. I say this with true gratitude in my heart, as many of you know that we've had difficult situations and difficult moments in time past. But we can tell you that we've witnessed the best of support and solidarity in whatever we do. Your kindness continues to help those of us who are at the core face and at the leadership front to continue to find our feet again. And this kind of solidarity is what we continue to truly value. And this is what distinguishes us as a unique nation. We must remember that Zimbabwean lives matter today, tomorrow, and every day. We will never stop fighting to win Zimbabwe for change. We will continue to consult with you and build consensus among a cross-section of our stakeholders as we work together to restore our collective dignity, our collective unity. In the words of our wise bishops, the march is not ended. Let us fiercely stand against corruption, oppression, violence, terrorism, and barbarism. Yes, we are angry and frustrated. This is understandable. But we cannot allow ourselves to be forced into rash decisions. This is what they want us to do. We will not give them the satisfaction. We will not do that which they want us to do. We know that they are scoring on goals. They are making blunders on their own, self-defeating mistakes they are making, and we will not disturb them in making those mistakes. We will not do much to disturb them, but we will have to do more in organizing ourselves. And everyone becoming an organizer, everyone an educator, everyone a mobilizer. We need to be together as we build a solid base for peaceful demonstrations as is enshrined in our Constitution. One can not understand why we have to stop showing ourselves to be our own liberators in circumstances where we have circumstances of oppression and dictatorship. Fellow citizens, as we speak, we are in broad consultation across the country as we build on the steps that are necessary to rescue our country, to realize that we have to make sure that we all unite. We are therefore building a broad coalition for change and transformation. There's growing consensus across the board that we cannot carry on like this. It can't just continue. Zimbabwean lives matter. Therefore, over the coming weeks and days, together we shall be able to move into continued peaceful mobilization and, of course, dialogue to push for the Zimbabwe we want and the Zimbabwe we deserve. Fellow citizens, this is our chance to shape our future. I urge you to stand up, to speak out, and to be in peace as we mobilize and organize to articulate ourselves. It can be criminal in believing in the alternative, to think differently, to think better, to act better in peace and solidarity. I thank you. God bless you. God bless Zimbabwe. God bless Africa.
Been listening to the president of the Movement for Democratic Change. We have just been listening to Mr. Nelson Chamisa there. That's a statement that he just released. And we are just going to jump into a live call-in program here as we help each other to dissect the messages that have just been coming from the president there. That's Nelson Chamisa. For those that are joining us, and this is a live program. Nelson Chamisa was just delivering a speech there entitled Zimbabwean Lives Matter. So we will just jump right into this program just as we go into to Right, we have been listening to a statement there from President Nelson Chamisa, a statement that was packed with quite a lot of messages to Zimbabweans. I'm just going to run through some of the major highlights from the statement that he just released almost an hour ago. And the statement he's been calling or rallying Zimbabweans to unite, and he's touched on quite a few things that are actually happening in the country today. As you are fully aware, there is a lot of there's a lot that's been happening recently, especially the arrest of the opposition party members and those that are involved in highlighting some of the issues that we are seeing in the country. So Chamisa highlighted quite a lot of. He looked at a broad coalition, and he also spoke about the fact that African problems need an African solution. And he's made reference to the fact that it has to be scaffolded, or in other words, the international community has to be involved in ensuring that they are underwriting whatever consultations that they are currently planning to do. He also touched on the Zimbabwean Lives Matter, and I think the theme of his message today has been the fact that Zimbabwean Lives Matter. I think he was looking at the incarceration of the likes of Hopo, Jacob Ngaruvume, and also there's another MP, an MDC Alliance MP, who was arrested just the other day for distributing masks that had an inscription on them that ZANU-PF must go. All this, he has been saying that this is a serious violation in terms of the laws of the country, because the law seems to be targeting only anyone who belongs to the Movement for Democratic Change Alliance. Everyone else who's not part of this movement seems to be getting away with it, and he is definitely not happy with what has been going on the past few days. And welcome and good evening to you if you're joining us. We are right here on the Zim Daily platform and looking and dissecting the message from President Chamisa. I see you guys in the chat room, and thank you for joining us. The plan for tonight is we look at the on this program OTS, which is today in the headlines. We are going to be taking live in calls, and I'm going to be giving you guys a chance to call in and obviously voice your concerns. I think quite a number of you have been listening to the message from President Chamisa, or the Movement for Democratic Change Alliance president, rather, who gave such a moving speech tonight. I think everyone was looking forward to it. We have just heard the speech, and now we just want to dissect it and see what we can make out of it. So one of the major highlights is the fact that he is calling for a broad coalition of the like-minded. He is making reference to churches and human rights organizations, non-governmental organizations in the country, that they should all come together in order to highlight some of these injustices that we are seeing in the country. He also spoke about the fact that African problems require or need an African solution, but also mentioning the fact that the world at large, or the United Nations, need to underwrite or scaffold some of the discussions that they are planning to have with the government. So we want to jump into it. The numbers to call in are right on the screen. I just want to hear from you, our audience tonight. What is your take on the president's message tonight? What is your take? What did you get from the message? Do you feel a bit more emboldened to carry on, or the speech itself was filled with a lot of nothings in there? So I just want to hear from you. Get in touch with us. If you're in the United States of America, you can call us on +1, and the number, actually, let's start with South Africa in case you want to comment on the presidential speech there. Call us on +227. This is a landline number, 271108-37061. That is South African number. If you're in the United Kingdom, you can also get in touch with us tonight, and let's hear your comments. What do you think is the way forward? I think Chamisa is a larger-than-life figure. Everyone tends to listen when he starts to talk, and it's been quite an evening tonight. I think we've seen quite a large number of people listening looking forward to what he had to say tonight. We also want to hear from you tonight. If you can reach us on 0203 287 1598. This is a United Kingdom number, and if you're in the United States of America, you can call us on 1315-215-3546. We want to hear your thoughts on the message that we received tonight from the president of the Movement for Democratic Change, President Nelson Chamisa. I'm just going to go through some of the comments that I am seeing here on the screen. Quite a number of you have passed your own comments on the speech tonight, and I'm looking at a comment here from Paul Mukukuri. Paul Mukukuri says, "My brother, my president, speak." I think you agree, or you're in full support of the Movement for Democratic Change Alliance President Nelson Chamisa. Whatever he had to say, you are 100% behind him. We have another message here from Isaac. Isaac says, "Ashley tinotenda mlambo wedu." Well, I don't know what you mean by that, but thank you very much for your message. We also have another message here from young Billy as we look at today in the headlines right here on the Zim Daily platform. And this is OTS on the sport. In case you're joining us, it's a very good evening. 26 minutes after 7 p.m. is the time where I'm coming to you from here. And we want to hear from you tonight. What is your take? We've all listened to the message from President Nelson Chamisa. Do you think he has come up with some solutions to the problems that we face in Zimbabwe, or he's actually muddied the waters? Or what is your take on this? Let's hear from you guys from the comment sections. If you want to call in, I just want to hear from you. The numbers to call if you're in South Africa, it's +2711. This is a landline number 110837061. And if you are in the United Kingdom tonight and you also want to take part in the program, I will be taking in calls. I'm actually live right now, and I hope you can contribute to this show. The number to call is 0203-287-1598. And in the United States, you can also get the number on the screen. I see you guys, you're calling. I'll be taking the calls right now. I just want to go through some of the comments. The comments on the screen here, we've got young Billy who's saying, "Free our country." I think this is the message that we're getting from pretty much everyone. It's a consensus across board that we have heard enough. And we have a message here from Blessed Blairy Hills. He says, "Viva Zim, Zim lives matter." Thank you very much for your message. And also Precious Zinanga says here, "Well said, my president." And I think this is in response to the speech or the statement that President Chamisa delivered just a few minutes ago. We want to hear your thoughts. Do we have a way forward now that the speech has been delivered, or that statement has been delivered? Do you see hope at the end of the tunnel, or do you see a lot of talking and not much action? I think that's one that many of the accusations that Zimbabweans are kind of leveling against those that seem to be influential, or those that have influence. They are saying there's too much talk and very, very little action. Is this what we are seeing? Is there too much talk and no action at all? Or at least they are trying to do something? I think we have seen, for example, Job Sikala. He tried to stand on behalf of pretty much everyone, and we know how it has ended. We also have the likes of Hopo Chungono, who are languishing in prison right now because they dared to talk. Are we do we see light at the end of the tunnel? Is it just are we just getting statements that do not kind of show us where the path is? Right, we want to hear from you tonight. I see your comments here. We've got a comment here from Paul Mukukuri, who is reinforcing the message that Zimbabwean lives do matter, and I totally agree with you. I think this is this is what I'm hearing across board, that Zimbabwean lives matter. Are we just going to end with hashtags and not do anything about it? Is there a solution to the current crisis? Let me hear from you. I've got a few people that are still waiting here to get on the program, but before they do, please join us right now. Here we're coming to you live. It's exactly 7:30 p.m. For the next 30 minutes, we are looking or dissecting the statement from the Movement for Democratic Change President Nelson Chamisa. He delivered a statement tonight where he was calling for unity, peaceful demonstrations. He called on the churches and the non-governmental organizations in the country to come together and obviously face what he termed a regime that is responsible for the brutality that we're seeing today. He also said that African problems require an African solution, but he insisted that they must be underwritten by with the underwriting of the international community. In other words, the international community must be also involved in making sure that they are scaffolding or they are providing some sort of protection or some assurances in whatever talks that the opposition or these NGOs and the church organizations will be involved with, in to ensure that they bring a bit of sanity to our country. So we also have a comment here from Tinashe Takawira. He says, "That's true, my president." I think you're agreeing with the statement that was delivered by President of the Movement for Democratic Change, Nelson Chamisa. We have another comment here. I think there are some that feel that there is a lot of talk and very little action. This comment here from Vachi, yeah, I can see your comment here. He is saying that social media leader, these are some of the accusations that have been leveled against at least the opposition leadership in Zimbabwe, that there is a lot of talk and very little action. We want to hear from you tonight. I see your calls coming in. I will be bringing you guys live in case you're joining us and you also feel that you want to contribute to at least respond to the message that was delivered tonight by President Chamisa. I think what you can see on the screen is someone here saying that all he knows about at least the opposition is that they are social media leaders. They do not seem to see them on the ground. Do you agree with this statement? Let's hear from you tonight. I've got another comment here from Davis Biri, who's saying Motanga Zwere, President Wenyika Ipi, Facebook Inyika Ere. So we have quite a few people here that feel that Nelson Chamisa should not be addressed as president because varikutiwo president wenyika ipi, Facebook inyika ere. Tinavo futi vanhu vezano vakati ti panapa. Thank you very much for joining us, Davis Biri. We have a comment here from Munya B9 who says, "Nelson, my president." Thank you, Munya. And you have a follow-up here where you are saying Zimbabwean lives matter. So as we take the first call this evening, I'm just going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned as we dissect the statement from Nelson Chamisa tonight. This is the Zim Daily platform and you're listening to On the Spot. This is Today in the Headlines. Stay tuned as we sail through this program tonight. For the next 30 minutes, we'll be taking your calls and we will be talking to you live. we are welcome once again this evening. I think I have just been speaking for the past few minutes without realizing that we had a small technical problem here. But once again, if you're joining us, welcome to the program. This is On the Spot. Today in the headlines, we are looking or dissecting the statement of the movement, the statement from the Movement of Democratic Change, President Mr. Nelson Chamisa. He highlighted quite a few issues, or rather challenges, that the country is facing, and is calling, or he's rallying his best rather to or those that he termed like-minded, especially the civil organizations, including churches, non-governmental organizations, to come together and unite. He also called for peaceful protest, and also highlighted the fact that they need, or the country needs, a broad coalition of like-minded people to tackle some of the challenges that we face. He also made reference to the fact that African problems require an African solution, but without obviously alienating the rest of the world. He says that he is calling for the rest of the world to underwrite any form of negotiation, of consultations that they are planning to do. I don't know whether he has highlighted any specific plan that as a party, or rather as an organization, if there were any specific things that they're planning to do in order to take the country, or to help at least alleviate some of the problems that we are seeing in the country today. Just going to go through some of the comments. I still have some of you that are waiting to join me here live, in case you also want to take part and you want to contribute to the discussion tonight. We are dissecting the statement from the Movement for Democratic Change, President Mr. Nelson Chamisa. Do you see any hope from what he delivered tonight, or has he made our lives even more difficult by not providing any solutions? We want to hear from you. Get in touch with us. You can see the numbers on the screen. The number to call if you're in South Africa, you're listening to us right now from South Africa. The number is 011. In fact, let me just give you the international plus 271108376061. This is a landline number. You can get in touch with us and contribute obviously to the discourse tonight. We also, if you're joining us from the United Kingdom, you can get in touch with us on 0203 287 1598. For Canada and the US, you can also take part in the program tonight. The number is plus 131521535546. Are we hearing a lot of messages without any plan, or has the opposition in Zimbabwe lost it? Do they have a solution to the problem? We don't expect them to, because they are not in government, but at least are they giving us some hope as an ordinary man on the street after listening to Nelson Chamisa's speech tonight? Do you see hope? Are you seeing light at the end of the tunnel? Or you are just feeding on statements that probably do not provide any solution? I just want to hear from you tonight. Let's hear from you. I'm looking at the comments. Quite a number of comments that we have had here tonight. Zimbabwean Lives Matter. I think that was the main title of his message tonight. He was reinforcing the fact that Zimbabwean lives do matter. We cannot just continue the way things are today. We need to have some sort of sanity, and that sanity, he says, that can be provided by us Zimbabweans coming together is one, and obviously trying to dialogue and find a solution. He also says that the African community can help. I think what I gathered from the statement is he's calling is someone who's crying out for what I would want to call help here, in terms of getting at least the government and the rest of the stakeholders in the country to come to some dialoguing table where they can try and figure out what the next steps for the country are. So we'll see how that will pan out. So we have as a comment here from Tatenda Funyai, who's saying Chamisa chete chete. Yes, and we have a comment here from let me just see if I can connect our first caller this evening. Let's give it another try. I know quite a number of you are trying to call in. Please do not give up. I think we have just sorted one of our lines which we're having a problem with. If you're in South Africa and you want to get in touch, please feel free to call the number. We are just going to go into the discussion now. Stay tuned. The number to call is +27 or 011. This is a Johannesburg number, 083-7061. Let me say that number again, 011-083-7061, or rather +271108376061. If you're in the United Kingdom, 0207-193-4277 is the number to get in touch with. And in fact, let me just make sure that I have the numbers right here. I have the numbers right now. For the United Kingdom, the number that you have on the screen is the correct one. It's 0203287158. And if you're on the other side or if you're across the pond, if you're in the United States or Canada, please call 131521535546. My sincere apologies. I think I got the numbers mixed up, but we want to hear from you tonight. Please feel free, get in touch. I know quite a number of you have been trying to call, and we've just sorted one of our lines, and the South African line is now working fine. Please feel free to call. I've just put a few of you on hold while I finish off this. Looking at the comments that are on the screen here, we've got Tatenda Funyai. Tatenda Funyai, please. Tatenda Funyai is saying Nelson Chamisa or Chamisa Chete Chete Munu Wevano. Thanks a lot for your comment. We have another comment here. Agulaza president sent lap. Long who promised la yoscheluguti. I think ukurumonga zani la agatabelangi message kulunyo president. So uti and Agulaza president lap. Lawek Siaguzo promise. We hear you. Thank you very much for your comment. Zimbabwean Lives Matter, Africa Unite. This is the message that is coming from Tsolofe Mongem Zulu. Thank you very much. Triple C, Chamisa Chete Chete is another message that we are seeing here from the comments. I'm just going through the comments as we will be taking our first call in the next few minutes. +2711-083-7061 is the number to call, or 0203-287-1598 is the UK number. And if you are in the United States or Canada and you also want to contribute to the program tonight, it is +1-315-215-3546. I have a few of you that are standing by as I make sure that I go through the comments. We've got quite a number of comments here that are on our Facebook pages. We just want to make sure we address those, and then we will go on the voice side of things. The numbers to call are right on your screen. We are looking at the statement that was delivered by President, or the Movement for Democratic Change Alliance President tonight, who has rallied his best. Basically, he's saying Zimbabwe, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I just want to get your feelings here. Do you see light at the end of the tunnel, or are we just hearing a lot of talk and no action? And if there is any action that needs to be taken, what sort of action should we be taking? Zvese zvataurwa tinozviziva. That's takudzwa nashe Dukes Mudukutri. And we have a statement here from Nelson, who's saying, from Shadrach Angel Chari, who says, Nelson is my president, but zvechi manje manje hazvisi kuda zvese izvi zviri kuda kungoti munhu wese angonzi ane mhosva. Mashoko taneta nawo ndo zvatakaita kuti nyika iende kuhondo. Mazuva evarungu izvi, but vanhu hamusi kuona chete. So that's Shadrach there, just ratcheting things up a bit. And you're saying that mashoko tamanzwa, we have been talking for a long time. Why team iri richizoti takarwa hondo, because rainge rashungurudzwa. In other words, what Shadrach is saying here, as you know, this is a line that ZANU-PF likes to. They tout that line quite a lot. Tagenda kuhondo, and this is anytime you try to raise your head or try to highlight that there is corruption here, they tell you kuti tagenda kuhondo. Saga. What Shadrach is saying here is mazwita manzwa. And I think you're providing a slightly different solution to the problem here. You are saying that Zwekutaura, we have been talking for some time, and you are saying kuti mazuva evarungi takazviita one, but vana musikuona chete. That's why team iri richizoti takarwa hondo. So that's I think you are suggesting a slightly different approach to the problem that we're facing. Thanks a lot for that. You are entitled to an opinion, and we really appreciate that. As far as we are concerned, the position that we tend to take is a more the position that we take on issues like this is obviously we are looking at legitimate solutions. In other words, solutions that are legal, right? And I know quite a lot of you feel otherwise, but is there anything else that can be done regarding the situation that we face in Zimbabwe? Paul Mukukuri says, Famba kusvika zvaita. So you are supporting the president, Nelson Chamisa there, or the president of the Movement for Democratic Change Alliance, rather. And we have Aaron Moswa. Davis Berry says, Aaron Moswa yekupi, musamupe mnyama, kana zoda zozviita zvega. Right. And then we've got another comment here. Tambudzai Demo says, Rambai makadzwanya president. I think this is in reference to the song from Paul Madzore. Paul Madzore says, Ramba wakadzwanya. In other words, Ramba waka uchiita zvaurikuita izvozvo. Do not relent on whatever you are planning to do, Mr. Chamisa. That's what Tambudzai is saying there. Makarwadziwa na Chamisa Mpori. Hanzi makarwadziwa na Chamisa Mpori. That's a follow-up there from Tambudzai. Laxon says, articulate, Mr. President. Zimbabwean lives matter. I think there's a lot of hashtags, and there's a lot of statements that are being released. Is this what we are all waiting for? Every now and then we hear statements. Is that the kind of solution that we are waiting for? Have we exhausted all the possible solutions that are out there? We want to hear from you tonight. Get in touch. I know some of you have been trying to call and you were having problems. The lines are now sorted. +2711 0837 if you're in South Africa, 0203-287-1598 in the United Kingdom, 315-215-3546 for the United States and Canada. So let's go through the last few comments and then we'll take our first call. Chamisa ere kuita president kurota uku. Saka that's Urai Jeche kuti he cannot imagine Chamisa is president. That's your opinion there, but I believe Chamisa managed to garner about 2.6 million votes. So there are 2.6 million other people who feel that he has what it takes. Yes. So we have Brighton Sparko Murevengwa says, we all know that Mr. Chamisa, what's the step to take? So you are saying that pretty much what Mr. Chamisa delivered tonight is something that everyone is aware of. What you are crying for here is the next step. What should we do next? So the statements have been delivered. Things have been said. What is the next step? That's what we're trying to help each other with here tonight. Please get in touch, and if you think you have a solution to the problems that we face, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. +27110837061 for South Africa, 200203281598 and 131521535546 for the US. Looking at the statement that was delivered tonight by the president of the Movement for Democratic Change, someone is just saying here, what we heard tonight is obviously more encouraging than some of the statements that President Mnangagwa has released in the past. So he basically saying that Chamisa is in a league of his own. Thank you very much for that comment. I'm starting to lose faith and hope in these guys. All talk and no action. That's what we are hearing from the this is another school of thought that is saying here that we've been hearing a lot of statements and hashtags, and people are looking for action. What should be that action? I think Kudakwashe, you're making a point here, but what should be the action? I think I think a lot of you have seen what happened to Job Sikala. Job Sikala is one of the few brave people out there. We have seen him try to take the bull by the horns, and tonight as we speak is languishing in remand prison. What tends to happen with us Zimbabweans is it is easy to say, I mean, talk is cheap, they say, like because Kudakwashi, you could be saying that we need action, but when it actually comes to action, the likes of Job Sikala have been calling for people to come out in the streets and protest, and what tends to happen is once most of these calls fall on deaf ears, and then those that have been making the call end up on their own, and then they get arrested, and then we know that even a few people did turn up today just to a handful of people, as I was watching as Job Sikala appeared in court this afternoon, only maybe a few people, less than 10 people came in support. I'm not talking about the senior leadership in the MDC. I'm talking about the ordinary Zimbabwean who's calling for action. Right. At least let us show some support by putting our money where our mouths are. So let's make sure that when we say action, kana mati action, Mr. Kuda, motu dot action yacho amur kuda inofambiswa say, and then zoitwa zvakamira sei. And tinotenda zvikuru tina Clinton Ntingamu. He says here, someone please help me feed my kids. Okay, so this is a call for help. I think we will pass that comment. We are coming to exactly 5 minutes to 8 p.m. All you do is talk. That's what we're hearing. All you do is talk, no action. Social media president. So Mr. Tinashe Murugutimi parikungotaurwa but apana action, and it kana mati action mnemjidot action yacho ifambe say. If you're talking, I mean, you're saying there's too much, there's a lot of talk and no action. What do you mean by that? Because we have seen those that have tried to at least show a bit of action, like the likes of Sikala, who have tried to rally people to at least come on the streets and protest within the parameters of the law. We know where they are today. Is this the action that you're calling for? And we know that generally us as Zimbabweans, whenever we want action, but when someone calls for that action, no one shows up. And this has been our biggest downfall, because people want someone else to do that action for them. Yes, we have Job Sikala akakutorerai chunubambo. All right, so this is and in response to the statement that was delivered by Mr. Chamisa. I think Mr. Peter is saying that Job Sikala is now the talk of the moment, and you are saying that akakutorerai chigaro. I'm not sure I agree with that, but that is your opinion. We have another comment here from Mr. Taku John Timavure. After press conference, then what? This is the question that everyone is asking. I think it's quite easy to pass statements like this without necessarily providing a solution. I don't want to dismiss your statement here, Taku, but I'm just saying here, Zano is good as softball, right? So that's what Taku is saying. That. So what are you suggesting? I think there is a lot of people are saying that there are too many press conferences that are happening and less action. They want action, right? But kana muno akadaidzira action manje. No problem iripo ndeyekuti kana panze ngatiende action, very few people show up for that action. But everyone says they want action. Saka ndo pane problem ya tina yonasi, in Zimbabwe, that a lot of people want action, but no one wants to be part of that action. So you have the likes of Job Sikala, who ended up on his own, by the way. He's pretty much has to fight this on his own. And yet a lot of people were saying we want action. And he tried to at least lead and try and show people how that action, how to translate that into action. So let's hear another comment here. Shungu Hadzurai, okay, that's a comment from Peter Tangi. Chamisa is too weak for a president. We have lost hope in him. Yes, that's your view on this, Mr. Samson Matimba. You are saying that Mr. Chamisa is too weak. And what are you suggesting? What's the alternative here? I think as far as I'm concerned, at least from my understanding of the events in Zimbabwe, I think Chamisa has the best shot. Right now, I can't think of any other leader that would necessarily, I wouldn't put my money on any other leader to fight the current regime. Chamisa has the best shot as far as I'm concerned. All right, so let's look at another few comments here, and I'm hoping at least in the next minute we will connect our first caller. And we want to hear not only comments. I want to have someone here who thinks that they have a solution. We have been speaking a lot about the fact that there is too much statements and press conferences and all that. What then do you think is the solution? People are complaining that there's too much press conferences and statements and social media and all that. Let's hear what should then be the solution if you do not agree with the statement, at least as far as the MDC is concerned. As far as I'm not a member of the MDC and I've never been, but watching from the terraces, I think they have the best shot here. And also, given the circumstances, there is really not much they can do. I think their hands are tied. I can't think of any other thing that they have not done. So if you think that there's something else that the MDC can do, we want to hear from you tonight. Let's listen to here. Patience Nendera says Zimbabwean Lives Matter. That was the theme of Mr. Chamisa's message tonight. Simba Peter Jr. Ziambi says, thanks, Mr. President. I think he's thanking Chamisa for the statement. The worst trouble causer who gives nothing to the people. That's Lazaro Marimbe there. You are saying that you're commenting on the speech or the statement that was delivered by Mr. Chamisa tonight, and you're saying the worst trouble causer who gives nothing to the people. I think I can attempt to respond to that. It's as far as I'm concerned, I think it is the duty of the government to provide for its citizens. This is why governments in a normal democracy, they are entrusted, and we entrust them with that ability to provide, or at least to create a conducive environment for businesses or for citizens to flourish. So I wouldn't really be expecting much from someone who is not in government. We should be looking up to our government. This is the way things work pretty much in almost every jurisdiction. You entrust or you expect your government to provide for you, not the opposition. The opposition does not own, or they cannot make any decisions, or even especially in Africa, they cannot even influence the direction in which things go, because of the fact that elections are rigged in such a way that the impact that the opposition can make in any government is pretty much negligible. So I don't think it is fair for us to accuse or even to call Chamisa a troublemaker. I think, as far as I'm concerned, they have the majority. ZANU-PF has the majority. They control everything. They took the farms. They did pretty much almost every policy they've wanted to implement. They've implemented it. And the opposition has never really been involved in deciding how things pan out in Zimbabwe. So it is a bit unfair, I think, to call Mr. Chamisa a trouble causer who gives nothing to the people. I think we can start, at least we can hold him to account once we have given him a chance to preside over our country. If he then fails, I think that's when we can say that he has provided nothing to the people. So Begezela here says, only if you do as you are saying, Baba, because you all talk and don't act. So I think we have had quite a few here, a few comments. I think a lot of keyboard warriors, a lot of keyboard warriors that we have here tonight. People who are saying Chamisa ndiye president wa Zimbabwe. So these are the supporters. And then we've got others that are saying that it's all talk and no action. Vese vanoti anacharugutaro, what are they doing? So this is someone responding to some of the comments that we've been hearing here. What are they doing? Kana mchiti Chamisa anacharuguita imimi murugite. It should be a collection of ideas and not expecting munwani kuita something. Right, and then we have another here, President Chamisa, if you don't do something as our leader to stop this, you'll be left alone while the rest of the world is watching. So we are just going to take a short break, and hopefully when we come from our break, we will take our first call for tonight. We want this to be an open discussion. If you feel that we are hearing a lot of talk, especially from the opposition in Zimbabwe, that pane kutaura kwakawanda apana action, that's what some of you are saying. Abanye benyu liti kuya kulunyo kakulu akula lina liti lifuni action, alifuni umuntu opongubuye khuluma. Sifuna ukuthi sizwe yini namhlanje ukuthi nxa lisithi lifuni action lichone. Kunevaya vanoti varuda action. Munorevechi, what sort of action are we talking about here? I think we have tried everything, right? Vamwe vari kuti murikuda action yekuti tozotiwo takaenda kuhondo. Okay, fair enough. Let's hear from you. What is it? If you were in Chamisa's shoes, what would you do? What will be your game plan? How would you take the country, at least in terms of bringing hope to the hopeless in Zimbabwe? How would you do it? We will take a short 2-minute break. And then when we come back from the break, we will have our first call. So stay tuned. And if you want to take part, plus 271108376061. And then if you're in the UK, it's 0203-287-1598. In the United States, it's 1315-215-3546. Zoitwa say, uriwe Chamisa, uriwe Triple C, kana uriwe Tokozane Kupe, uriwe Love Moma Duku, uriwe, yeah, we are looking at the opposition in Zimbabwe. What would you do under the circumstances that we are in today in Zimbabwe? We will take a short break and we'll be right back.
Cheuke, 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 baba na moyo cheuke, cheuke, cheuke na baba na moyo nakaona. Cheuke, musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo ijipita, musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo nakaona. Cheuke, cheuke na baba na moyo nakaona. Ana we Zimbabwe, musa cheuke, cheuke na baba na moyo nakaona. Cheuke, musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo nakaona. Cheuke, cheuke, cheuke na baba na moyo nakaona. Cheuke, cheuke na baba na moyo nakaona. Ijipita, musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo nakaona. Cheuke, cheuke na baba na moyo nakaona. Chamuka, musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo ndinona. Cheuke, cheuke na baba na moyo nakaona. Na moyo ndinona. Cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo nakaona. Musa cheuke, musa cheuke, oh cheuke na moyo. Cheuke na baba na moyo nakaona. Cheuke na baba na moyo nakaona. Bana wenyika ino, musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo tinona. Cheuke na baba na moyo nakaona. Cheuke na baba na moyo nakaona. Wazienyika, musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo kuashandiwa. Musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo umerova. Musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo nakaona. Na moyo nakaona. Chiramuka puno, musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo nakaona. Chiramusungwese, musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo nakaona. Chamuka, musa cheuke, musa cheuke, baba na moyo nakaona. Cheuke, cheuke. makomana Ijipita musacheruke Musacheruke Baba Namwe tinuna Anichauke Zimbabwe, Musacheruke, Musacheruke, Baba, Namwe, Zimbabwe, Musacheruke, Musacheruke, Matima enyika musacheruke Baba namwe Bana enyika ino musacheruke Musacheruke Baba namwe atakaona musacheruke Chiro atiponde musacheruke Musacheruke, Baba, Namwe, Chiro musungwe say Musacheruke, Musacheruke, Uchanyiriri Musacheruke, Musacheruke, Baba, Namwe, Ijipita Musacheruke. Chewe Chewe Musacheruke 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 Anichauke Namwe tinuna Anichauke Chewe Musacheruke Musacheruke Chewe Musacheruke Bana enyika ino Musacheruke Bana maiwe Musacheruke 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 Namwe Bana enyika ino Musacheruke Musacheruke Uchanyiriri Musacheruke Musacheruke
Let me just see if I can just do an introduction to you here, right here on Zim Daily. We are looking at the statement that was released by the Movement for Democratic Change president tonight. And Ezo, you are one of the people out there who are involved in this Zimbabwe Lives Matter movement. Can you maybe share with us of what you have been up to, at least to highlight the Zimbabwe cause or the plight of Zimbabweans? Yes. Right. Mm-hmm. All right. I don't think we have a problem with the line there, but I just need to make sure that we get this sorted out. I think I can hear you, but I doubt my audience can hear you tonight. I think this has been happening throughout all the connections that we've been trying to make tonight. So we'll make sure that we'll get this bit sorted out next time. But what we have been looking at tonight is the statement that was released by the Movement for Democratic Change president tonight, and quite a number of you are saying that we have been listening to statements, but now we need action. If you're looking at the comment on the screen, this is Patience who's saying, if I were in Chamisa's shoes, I would go to powerful people overseas who believe in me to seek for assistance. You could train on militia, because honestly, talking nezano PF tese topera kusungwa. And here's the masses that follow him and believe in him. So kutongoti, here is the signal, it is done. Right, I think that's someone there who obviously feels that we need to at least up the tempo a bit and try and do something. I'm not saying I'm not supporting what is being said here. I'm just highlighting the comment. The comment that has just come to us there from Patience is saying that we love you, Mr. President, but vanhu vese vakupera kusungwa. What's next, President? Kutorwa, kuri kutodiwa action. So this is what I think at least the mood that I'm gathering here from the comments that I've been seeing. Murugutimo zunu tataura zakwan pakudiwa action. This is what you are saying, that at least the majority of you are saying that we need to do something about what is going on in Zimbabwe. And people are suggesting that action, but I'm still here to see what type of action is being referred to here. At least Patience has kind of given a bit of some, has added a bit of some flesh to the bone here in terms of suggesting what needs to be done. I think what we are promoting here is anything within the confines of the law. Whatever needs to be done in Zimbabwe obviously should be legal and lawful. So I don't think there's any government out there that is willing to support any illegal activity to overthrow a government. I do not see that happening, and I wouldn't personally promote it. So if you are suggesting action, what sort of action are we referring to? As far as I'm concerned, I think the first thing that we need to do as Zimbabweans is to unite. I think one of the biggest challenges that we have as a country or as a people is whenever someone comes up with something, it is not easy. It is not easy for us to rally behind that person. And a case in point is obviously the likes of Job Sikala, who have come out in the open. They've put their lives on the line. And you would expect that when they were appearing in court today, the courts would have been overrun by the sheer support that the likes of Job Sikala would be having. But when I was watching what transpired today, I was kind of taken aback, because we don't want to put our mouth where our money is. We talk a lot about supporting the likes of Sigala on Facebook, on Twitter, and on many other platforms. I think people are saying, no, Job Sigala is the man. But when it comes to, I don't think they can arrest 1 million people that would come in support of a man that has decided to stand for the masses. And for even the likes of Hopewell, I think some of the support that we have seen for him has been disappointing. So if we can work that one out, I think that bit doesn't actually require much. It's not very taxing in the sense that it just only requires us to unite. And one of the reasons why these guys, they take advantage of the fact that we are all talk and no action. So when we are talking about action here, we are not talking about taking up arms, but we are saying, why can we not unite behind an individual by at least maybe attending court session like today? We could have seen, just to show that support, because it's not illegal for you to attend someone's court appearance. That's something that is very legal, and it's something that is within our reach. 1 million of us could have stood there in court in support. So when they see such support, they obviously know that we are not playing games here. But any other action that is outside that, I don't see it succeeding, unless you see the rest of the world will start talking when they see us as a united force. That's why you see in places like where you're the Arab Spring, the international community will support if they see that we are united against a specific cause. But as you know, as Zimbabweans, one of our biggest downfall is the fact that we are keyboard warriors, isn't it? We are Twitter warriors. We are good at tweeting and doing all sorts of things. But when it comes to basic action, myself included, by the way, I'm not pointing a finger at anyone here. I think I'm pretty much also a coward in so many ways than not. But I wish I could also be could also be encouraged by someone to say, hang on a minute, don't just be behind, don't just stand there behind the mic. Let's go out there and show the world that we are united against a cause. Even pachivanu chedu chaicho tinotizo chara chimwe hachitswanyinda. One cannot do it alone. Kana tikauya tese in our millions, in our thousands, in our rally behind something. And ZANU-PF knows this, because they know we are fragmented, we are not united, so they take advantage of this. And you would actually be surprised to know that the people that are actually oppressing or the ones that are causing the suffering of almost 13-14 million people, they are probably a handful of people, right? If you actually count them, maybe your two hands might just be enough to count the people that are responsible for the pain and suffering. And yet you've got 13 and whatever number we have, millions of Zimbabweans against maybe a handful people, maybe 8, 9, 10 people that are responsible for your suffering. Imagine if 13.8 million flogged into Harare. I'm not talking about guns here, right? Just uniting and coming, because the reason why they end up beating people up is because only 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 people end up on the streets. But imagine if we flooded the streets of Harare with 5 million people. Ndeupi mupurisa achatora baton stick achirova vanhu 5 million. And remember, the world will be watching, and they are watching to see what's going to happen. So simple things like that. I mean, if people are going to be talking about action, at least that's what I call action. If we could all rally behind someone, and 6 million of us flogged into Harare, not in a violent way. I'm not talking about violence here. I know there are ZANU-PF people listening who are saying that, who are trying to misquote me. All I'm saying, the Constitution of Zimbabwe allows people to peacefully protest. if we had a sit-in in Africa Unity Square, 6 million people saying, all right, let's say the other 6 million are people that cannot vanwaya varkurwara, and let's say varkurwara chembere nevana vadiki who cannot take themselves into Harare. But I'm sure we can have 6 million able-bodied people that could just sit in there for a day or two, and the world will see that we are serious. So for me, when we are talking about action, it does not require taking up arms or even going around the city destroying things. That's not action. I mean, to me, when we are talking about action, I am talking about a peaceful sit-in, yeah, where everyone will sit in Africa Unity Square or sit somewhere in the whole of Harare quietly without even causing any violence. Just the numbers themselves will overwhelm them, right? And someone within those 10 people will start saying, you know what, we must do a runner here before things go bad. So that's what action for me means. So let's hear what you are saying here on the from our comment section. I think as we conclude this, we have a few more minutes. Unfortunately, we were going to use our phone system. We've tried a few things, but it was not working tonight. Hopefully, when we run another program like this, we'll be able to bring everyone in so we can discuss together. I tried to speak to a few people, but you guys could hear me, but I don't think you were hearing them. So you are just going to be stuck with me at least for tonight. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get things sorted. Chamisa is not serious and surely does not care about Zimbabwean citizens. Why is he not wanting to sacrifice and go for dialogue? And we have GNU so that people lives go back to normal. We are suffering because of his fears and greed. Right. I think for anyone to accuse Chamisa of not being serious and also of not caring about the people of Zimbabweans, I think this is a man, I've seen this man go through all sorts of persecution and suffering just for these Zimbabwean, because you could pretty much, he doesn't have to be in politics, by the way. You could decide just to leave politics, right? And the fact that he even, we know what he has gone through, and also the fact that he is still there, I don't think he is doing it for selfish reasons. So there you are. Why is he not wanting to sacrifice and go for dialogue? All right, so I think that's the point that you're making. From his statement tonight, we all agree that that's what he was calling for. I wrote some notes here as I was listening to his statement. He is talking of a broad consultation. He is talking about involving the civil society, the churches and everyone else that they can get who can be part of the dialogue. So as far as I'm concerned, I think he has done a lot regarding GNU. I think this is a tried and tested. We have done this before. We've gone down the GNU road, and we know what it means. It just means that you are legitimizing a government, and then they will just maneuver. And when you go for the next election, it is the opposition that gets soiled, because we know that from soon after the GNU, when they tried to go into an election, there was a serious backlash. The opposition actually was pounded. There was some rigging, but I think by and large people were not happy with the fact that they had been in government for 5 years and they had nothing to show. So I think there is a lot of reservation out there around whether people should go for a GNU, for another GNU. I personally don't think it's the right course of action to take, but who am I? There you go. So thanks a lot, Pilani Gama, for your comment. Let's hear from Patience again. I think you have made your point. Patience, we want to hear from Ino. Ino says we must come to a time we put heads together and do one thing. No ZANU-PF, no MDC, but what we need is unity. Right. Yeah, I think this is what I was talking about. I think the solution I'm suggesting here is unity. If we all came together as one, not for the purposes of violence, but just for the purposes of having a sit-in, You sit in there and you just wait. You just tell the government that you are not moving until they listen to your petitions, right? So that's what I am suggesting, and I know it's easier said than done, but this is the solution I would personally rally behind. Let's have a peaceful sit in Harare. 6 million people walking into Harare and telling the government that we are not going anywhere. There is no way a handful of policemen will beat up 6 million. But the problem we have, which is our biggest challenge, is the fact that it is not easy for us Zimbabweans to unite. Just look at where Zimbabweans are. I also take the blame here. I'm not just accusing people. I'm just also saying that I'm equally to blame in as much as because I'm also Zimbabwean. Wherever Zimbabweans are, they tend, even if you put Zimbabweans, 3 or 4 Zimbabweans in one place, there is always an issue of unity, right? Just 4 families, put them in a small village or in a small town or wherever, even here in the diaspora, it's a challenge for Zimbabweans to come together. This is a problem, and we can't solve a problem that if we have not highlighted that problem. So this is our problem, and let's work around it. I know of Ghanaians as a people, they are one of the most united people that you ever find in Africa. They will rally behind a cause. And if we had a case in point where someone was getting married in the UK, so they had come to the United Kingdom and they had come to look for some money so they could go back home to get married. Every single Ghanaian in that community raised enough money for that lady to go home, to go and even build a mini house so that she could start a new life. They did everything they could do to ensure that someone they didn't pay, well, they were not directly related to this lady, but they just wanted to see that lady succeed. So that's the solution according to the way I see things. All right. So Talent Matara, says Ashley, okay, you're responding to Ashley. Maybe Shadrach says, maybe tikuda kumbonamatirwa tibviswe mweya wekuchka. All right. Wakati gara, we don't know our rights. Police and soldiers don't hold keys of our freedom. We are the people with the keys of freedom. We must not wait for those who think they know much. Pakungoda vanhu vanongoti hameno. Even kana kuri kusungwa vanongosungwa povu yese nyika yedu haina zvinorema. But yakadyarwa kamhodzi kekutya nokuti ine handifiri ningi. Yeah, I think that's what we are saying here. Kuti unity, obviously, coupled by fear, is a recipe for disaster. So that's what you are saying. But I want to submit that our biggest problem is unity. If we can just unite as a people, and then you do not look at who is eventually going to lead the country. Let's forget Kutindiana Jazopinda and it. Let's just rally behind someone. Whether, you see, the biggest challenge that we face today is someone is thinking, okay, pakapinda mseamwa. Vana mseamwa vese ndo vachajike isusu vana mazi. Apana chatinacho. So, and just support mseamwa because inini ndiri mazi. So, and then the whole things fall apart. The whole thing falls apart. Saka, that's what we were saying. If we could just go past that to say, kana mseamwa akajika. Even if inini mazi. Disiri kujika, at least zviri nani kuti mseamwa vamboita sei. Vambodyo pane kuti vana shumba vega vangogara vachidya. If you get my point. I think what we are saying is let's rally behind someone. Achazodya or achazoita say it doesn't matter. But as long as we have taken ourselves out of the situation, then we'll decide what happens after that. All right. So let's hear another comment here. It says our president visited him in prison. He knows that Zimbabweans are behind him, but we are under military rule. We don't have weapons, and they have. Right. I think this is what Shadrach is talking about. Fear is one of our biggest. It works against us. The biggest challenge that we have is we have a handful of people that are pretty much deciding for over 14 million people. And I can guarantee you who the people that actually have hold on power in Zimbabwe, they are no more than 10, right? And you have over 13 million people that are basically subjects of about 10 people. Dai zvangokwanisika kuti vanhu vangomuka vakati ngatino, let's go and have a sit-in in Harare. Let's not be violent. Let's stay within the confines of the law. But let's just say no, we are not, until something happens, we are not moving. Anditika, this is the type of solution, at least something I would subscribe to. Let's hear from Frederick Moyo. Says makadzipiwa kamari dze corona kuzotaura zvisina basa vanhu vachiseva chimunya nesalt ine mvura. All right. I don't know. It's from nowhere. Well, I don't know why Frederick just comes from nowhere with that rant. I don't know what he is referring to, but let's see. Josephine Rusau says, kana vakadzidzisa isu ko future yevana vedu iri papi, and it millions every day. All right. Kana vakadzidzisa isu ko future yevana vedu iri papi vachiba millions every day. Okay. Yeah. I think you're all right. Yes. We have Yvonne here. Matsura says Zimbabwean lives matter. Yeah, thanks a lot for your comment there. I think we will just go down a few other comments here and then we'll be calling it an evening. Very true. I think Marjorie is saying here, Marijo MJ Kuzoraunya says, I'm sure now Hopewell regrets for standing up for a country full of cowards. I think those are true. Our biggest issue is kana munhu wana akasimudza musoro, and it the rest of us, maybe us keyboard warriors, we will say stuff, and then after tikaona kuti asungwa, then we will say, I'm sure even in our closets we'll be saying kuti takambomuudza, and it aida kuzviita. So imagine if all of us were to come to court, like I think today Hopewell and Jacob, including Job Sikala, were in court today. Imagine if all of us, 6 million, maybe not all of us, imagine if half of us would come to court just to show support. I don't think you will be arrested for attending a court case. Just to show support for Hopewell or Jacob or Job Sikala or whoever. I'm sure now Hopewell regrets for standing up for a country full of cowards. No one even followed up on him. He's facing the music ega. Now it's so sad. I think this is the predicament that we're in. Everyone who tries to raise, or if anyone is thinking of, or let me do something here. That's the challenge that we face. I think Mary MJ, you got it right there. Thank you very much for your comment. You have a comment there. They have guns. We need to be protected by the police. Policium Zim, it's ZANU. Army ZANU, it's hard to win the battle. All right. So I think MJ is saying that obviously the idea of taking up arms I wouldn't personally support that because I don't think there's anyone out there who's willing to give anyone a gun for that matter. But what we would support is a peaceful sit-in. Yeah, I know this has been tried, but at least if we supported anyone who called for a peaceful sit-in, or like, for example, Garivume and the like who tried to do it, if we all supported them by even attending the court cases or coming at the courts in our numbers. Right. I only saw a few reporters who are obviously trying to, when Job Sikala attended his court case today, you had a handful of reporters that are obviously looking for a shot to sell to the international media. no Zimbabwean who is genuinely or seriously wants to support the cause. So that's where the challenge is. Right, there is no togetherness in our country. I totally agree with you. Yes, tinofanira kubatana. That's true, yes, and people are together, but the lack of strategy. I think Dina is saying that we are tritese, but there's just no strategy, which will not endanger lives. So you are accusing those in leadership for failing to have a strategy, but and you're saying that Vanu generally takabatana. I would, I don't think. Yes, I think this is the way that you see it. I think we are united, but the biggest problem, people need assurance that there won't be loss of lives. All meaningful demonstrations we've witnessed killings by ZANU-PF and regime. Right, so I think we've gone through all the comments for this evening. There you are, Zimbabwe. We have spent about 1.5 hours looking at the statement that was the statement delivered by Mr. Nelson Chamisa, trying to rally his base, and obviously many others that may not be members of the opposition, but see him as someone with the keys to a better life in Zimbabwe. I think, as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Chamisa has the best shot in terms of an alternative leadership. If we're looking for alternative leadership in Zimbabwe, I cannot see it coming from any other place. I personally feel that he has. I am not a member of the MDC. I've never been a member. I've never been a member of any political party, but I'm just saying this as a commentator or as a Semuno Agagara Kuma terraces. I think Chamisa is the only one with the best shot. Sagangati, let's rally behind, or those that at least want to rally behind someone. I have no doubt that that person, at least as far as I can see it, is Nelson Chamisa. I cannot see of any other person in Zimbabwe who would take this forward. We've got Thokozani Kupe. We have the likes of Love Momaduku. I think, which other opposition leaders do we have? Maybe Jacob Ngaruvume and the like. So if you make your own, do your own maths there, you can pretty much, without being a rocket scientist, you can kind of work it out that where would you put your money there if you were to decide on the current crop of opposition leaders that we have in Zimbabwe. So thank you very much, Zimbabwe, for listening tonight. I hope we have managed to get something from the discussion tonight. Hopefully tomorrow we'll bring something else different, but we have been looking at the statement that Mr. Nelson Chamisa released tonight. He tried to rally his base. One of the things that he highlighted is he was calling for unity, and also he made reference to peaceful demonstrations. He talked about a broad coalition. He also made reference to the fact that Africa problems require an African solution, but it must be under the international community must underwrite that effort and also must scaffold it according to his own words. And he also supported the Zimbabwean Lives Matter movement. He talked about the persecution of his members of the MDC Alliance. We know they are the most persecuted people in Zimbabwe right now. Anyone who supports Mr. Chamisa in his as a leader, or anyone who stands for the things that he stands for, ends up in prison. We know Hopo Chungono kind of sang from the same hymn now as Mr. Chamisa, in terms of highlighting the rot that was in the country, or that is in the country, and he is now languishing in prison. We have the likes of the MP for Binga, who was he was actually remanded out of custody, but he was paraded before the courts. His only crime was he was giving out masks that had an inscription, ZANU-PF must go. Imagine if you can be arrested for saying, ZANU-PF must go. This is pretty much a statement that everyone says, and this guy was still pulled before the courts for just distributing a mask that says ZANU-PF must go. But we want to thank you all for listening tonight, and may you have a very good evening. Hopefully we will be able to continue the discussion until we come to some solution for Zimbabwe. I'll leave you listening to a song here from Mr. Paul Mazzore. The song I want you to listen to is found from one of his latest albums, and it is Mr. Paul Mazzore here playing the track Ramba Waka Janya. Bye-bye.
Zimbabwe inomusiwa mushe mushe. Zimbabwe inomusiwa vanomusiwa mushe mushe we. Zimbabwe inomusiwa vanomusiwa mushe mushe we. Chamisa we, Ramboka Chanya, Chamisa we, Ramboka Chanya, Chamisa we, Ramboka Chanya, oh Ramboka Chanya, Rambo Chanya, Chamisa, Ramboka Chanya, Chamisa we, Ramboka Chanya, no musiwa, Ramboka Chanya, no musiwa, mushe mushe, Ramboka Chanya, no musiwa, Ramboka Chanya, no musiwa, mushe mushe, Ramboka Chanya. Ramboka, oh Ramboka, oh Ramboka, oh Ramboka, Ibabo, Ramboka, Ramboka, Andi wakomanda, Ramboka, Laskana dai, Ramboka, Andi, Ramboka, oh Ramboka Chanya, oh Ramboka Chanya. Ramboka Chanya, oh Ramboka Chanya, Ramboka Chanya, Ramboka Chanya, Ramboka Chanya. Mtoko vanomusiwa mushe mushe, vamutsi vanomusiwa, kunyanga vanomusiwa, buruwayo vanomusiwa, kupinga vanomusiwa. Zimbabwe, Chanya Chamisa, Chanya Chamisa we, Chanya Chamisa, Chanya Chamisa we, Ramboka Chanya, oh Ramboka Chanya, wait Ramboka Chanya, Ibabo, Ramboka Chanya. Chanya Chamisa we, Chanya Chamisa, Chanya Chamisa, Chanya, Chanya Chipinge, Chanya Kuntoko, Chanya, Chanya Pagwero, Chanya Kubanda, Sanu ino musia mushe mushe. Sanu ano musia mushe mushe we. Sanu ano musia mushe mushe. Nengwe na ino musia mushe mushe we. Ipapo Chanya mushe mushe. Chanya Chamisa we. Chanya Chamisa, Chanya Ipapo, Chanya Chamisa we, Chanya Ipapo, Lamboka Chanya, oh Lamboka Chanya, Faba, oh Lamboka Chanya, Lamboka Chanya, oh Lamboka Chanya, Lamboka Chanya. Up. Ai koti ino musia mushe mushe. Koni koti ino musia mushe mushe. Rokoara Chanya Chamisa Chanya Lamboka Chanya oh Lamboka Chanya oh Lamboka Chanya oh Lamboka Chanya oh Lamboka Chanya. Apa Chanya Chamisa we. Chanya Ipapo Chanya Lamboka Chanya oh Lamboka Chanya oh Lamboka Chanya oh Lamboka Chanya oh Lamboka Chanya. Chinjala no iswa mushe mushe. Chinja muno iswa mushe mushe. Ai koti no iswa mushe mushe we. Koni koti no iswa mushe mushe. Nengwe na ino iswa mushe mushe. Lamboka Chanya, oh Lamboka Chanya, oh kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya. Unoba ngoma yavaridzi, ngoma yekubairidzi mkuru. Unokovara unoiridza sei varidzi vanenge vakateerera? Chero zvenyu muchimubira munomuziva mushe mushe, chero zvenyu makamurova munomuziva mushe mushe, chero zvenyu muchimubira munomuziva mushe mushe. Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Chamisa, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya. Inomusiva mushe mushe, nyashanu inomusiva mushe mushe, zvanya Chamisa, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, kuwedza vanomusiva mushe mushe, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya. Harare inomusiva mushe mushe, Harare inomusiva Ramba kachanya, Chamisa, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kariba, Ramba kachanya, Mutokowe, Ramba kachanya, Kugwanda, Ramba kachanya, Mashingowe, Ramba kachanya, Mashingo, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya. Mukoba, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya. Zimbabwe inomusiva mushe mushe, Zimbabwe inomusiva vanomusiva mushe mushe we, Zimbabwe inomusiva vanomusiva mushe mushe we. Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Ramba kachanya, Chamisa we, Ramba kachanya, Chamisa we, Ramba kachanya, Chamisa we, Ramba kachanya, mushe mushe Aikutino muswa Bano muswa mushe mushe Oramboka 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 Ibabo Oramboka Oramboka Andi wakumana Oramboka Laskana daire Oramboka Andi Oramboka Oramboka chanya Oramboka chanya Oramboka chanya Oramboka chanya Oramboka chanya Oramboka chanya Oramboka chanya
Right exams! We are not going to leave this university up until the doctorate that was given to
Yes. Baba musimbise baleke kutokera shule Baba musimbise baleke kutokera shule Bana baba bali kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Bana baba bali kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Baba musimbise baleke kutokera shule Baba musimbise baleke kutokera shule Pamupata wa Jericho Mari kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Pamutoko Mari kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Pamutoko Mari kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Machinjari kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Machinjari kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Pamupata wa Jericho Kupinga Bali kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Kupanda bali kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Kupanda bali kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Mweya wasimbise kutokera shule Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Shireti bali kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Shireti bali kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Chamisa Nari kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Chamisa Nari kufambane pamupata wa Jericho Baba wasimbise baleke kutokera shule Baba Chamisa alikufa malepa mupata wa Jericho. Chamisa alikufa malepa mupata wa Jericho. Moyo wake musibizi alikutokea shule. Moyo wake musibizi alikutokea shule. Shanda, Mamonta trangia jipindura bagomana pamba igwara rimwe mayinza naremboja yarira bagomana sero yangu yarira mamonta trangia jipindura bagomana pamba igwara rimwe mayinza naremboja yarira bagomana sero yangu yarira mamonta trangia jipindura bagomana pamba igwara rimwe tatai pambana jasara tatai pambana muteta tatai pambana machirita tai pambana chimira tai pambana chibunza tangira itotora gwararibi tatai pambana jasara tatai pambana muteta tatai pambana machirita tai pambana chimira tai pambana chibunza tangira itotora gwararibi wayinza tangira chipindura wayinza tangira chipindura wayinza tangira chipindura bagomana pamba igwara rimwe wayinza tangira chipindura wayinza tangira chipindura wayinza tangira chipindura bagomana pamba igwara rimwe jobo wakatetereka chaiva kazara musango chimbaira wonai wakaenda chikonzero ndiko kusatera jobo wakatetereka chaiva kazara musango chimbaira wonai wakaenda chikonzero ndiko kusatera wayinza tangira chitaura wayinza tangira chitaura wayinza tangira chitaura bagomana pamba igwara rimwe wayinza tangira chitaura wayinza tangira chitaura wayinza tangira chitaura bagomana pamba igwara rimwe wayinza tangira chitaura wayinza tangira chitaura wayinza tangira chitaura bagomana pamba igwara rimwe makwavara rakatengwa naiye nota akatengwa vakatengwa nachombo kuti vauraye musangano makwavara rakatengwa naiye nota akatengwa vakatengwa nachombo kuti vauraye musangano mayinza Mamunza twangia chipindura Vakomana famba igwara rimwe Mayinza naremboja yarira Vakomana sero yangu yarira Mamunza twangia chipindura Vakomana famba igwara rimwe Mayinza naremboja yarira Vakomana sero yangu yarira Mamunza twangia chipindura Vakomana famba igwara rimwe Chatai fambana jasara Chatai fambana mutetwa Chatai fambana machirita Tai fambadi chimira Tai fambadi chibunza Twangira itotora gwara ripi Chatai fambana jasara Chatai fambana mutetwa Chatai fambana machirita Tai fambadi chimira Tai fambadi chibunza Twangira itotora gwara ripi Wayinza twangira chipindura Wayinza twangira chipindura Wayinza twangira chipindura Vakomana famba igwara rimwe Wayinza twangira chipindura Wayinza twangira chipindura Wayinza twangira chipindura Vakomana famba igwara rimwe Jobo wakatetereka Chaiva kazara musango Chimbaira onai wakaenda Chikonzero ndiko kusatera Jobo wakatetereka Chaiva kazara musango Chimbaira onai wakaenda Chikonzero ndiko kusatera Wayinza twangia chitaura Wayinza twangia chitaura Wayinza twangia chitaura Vakomana famba igwara rimwe Wayinza twangia chitaura Wayinza twangia chitaura Wayinza twangia chitaura Mamunza twangia chipindura Vakomana famba igwara rimwe Mayinza naremboja yarira